How's it going, everybody? We have quite a few updates on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, one of the most anticipated games of 2024. People are getting their hands on actually playing the game at Tokyo Game Show. Tokyo Game Show has kicked off, and I would say that this is one of the biggest titles a part of the event. Obviously, we had that recent trailer at the State of Play. I see so many people super excited for this game, and obviously if you never played the FF7 remake, I know that Square Enix is saying that you can play the game without playing the FF7 remake. Brother, go buy the Twin Pack. It's $70 on the PlayStation Store. You'll get Remake Integrate as well, and that game is great, and you should certainly play it before you play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the direct sequel of the game. I do want to talk about some notes from an IGN interview and also give my input on my thoughts on various things. This is very story related, so if you want to stay completely in the dark about it, if you didn't play the first game, I would recommend you to go ahead and click off this video, just saying that right off the bat. Speaking on potential story changes, Yoshinori Kitase noted this. Okay, so to comment on sort of the differences from the original work, you know, one point being that the order of certain events of the storyline may differ from the original. Some may appear or some way that what happens in the original, but overall, Rebirth will tell the story to the Forgotten Capital sequence and overall follow the original story. But as far as how characters join the party, like with Yuffie, as you mentioned, has been reimagined in a way that's sort of better suited for the modern audience. If you don't remember, a character like Yuffie wasn't really introduced into the party naturally in the original game, so a natural integration I actually like, and hopefully that'll be the case with Vincent as well. As you mentioned, has been reimagined in a way to sort of better suited for the modern audience. Furthermore, as you know, with the original Final Fantasy VII, the character Zack Fair is one that doesn't appear as much in the original title. However, we see at the end of Remake that he has appeared, which you know is quite a difference from the original title. And as for Rebirth, there will also be a new episode with Zack. That element of new episode with Zack, that was actually leaked a while ago, and I believe the leaker had said it would be a lengthy period where you would play just as Zack. So that has me very excited. I think a lot of other people are very excited about the possibility of having a lengthy section where you just play as Zack, whatever it may be, 6 to 8 hours. Who knows, maybe lengthier, maybe shorter. I doubt that Zack is going to be a full-blown member of the party, but yeah, that will contain even more of him than the remake. Obviously, the remake, he just showed up at the end, and it was very, very brief. I'm not able to say much more than this, as I would like for players to play and experience this with it in their own hands. Obviously, to avoid spoilers, you can't talk about Zack that much, because Zack is one of the integral factors of this remake changing, and even though he says that the story to the Forgotten Capital will follow the original story, yes, it may to an extent, but remember that they were saying a lot of this kind of stuff with the FF7 remake as well, and while there was a lot of similarities, there were also a lot of differences, so I wouldn't take into account too much as far as it being a one-to-one remake. Like, I think there's gonna be a lot of changes, and I think some people are not prepared for that. You know, obviously sections of the game will be expanded as well, given that we're getting a full-blown game going up to the Forgotten Capital, and it's gonna be a 40-hour main story that was noted, and 100 hours for completionists. Then let's be real, getting to the Forgotten Capital does not take 40 hours or even 100 hours. 40 hours, like, you could beat the original FF7 in 40 hours, probably even quicker than that, so you know, it's gonna be quite a bit expanded, as you saw with some of the sections in the trailer. Very curious how Zack is implemented in this game, but certainly that'll be one of the elements that is going to change the game greatly, so just keep that in mind if you're expecting a one-to-one remake. IGN also asks, as you make these changes, I feel like it was a fine line for fans who want to see a faithful retelling versus the new changes and a new story that you're telling, so how do you balance making those changes, and how much of the story is focused on subverting expectations for fans of the original, as opposed to a faithful retelling? Kitase noted, I do believe that, and with the remake as well, we were able to tell the story and to express ourselves in a new way that doesn't stray or defy the expectations of those who are fans of the original title. And so in terms of, you know, the question of balance, I do believe that good balance between the two was maintained for Rebirth as well. That being said, while the story that we follow is quite faithful to the original, as you've seen in the demo as well in the Part 1 story with Cloud and Sephiroth and their journey at Mount Nibel, you see that it has been greatly kind of enhanced and improved upon the original, whereas, you know, there's sort of limitation based on the technology of that time, whereas now we have just this much more enhanced immersive experience with the voice acting that just adds another layer to these characters, the stunning visuals and the acting of the characters that just show much more. So we have sort of the same episode that is now retold and invokes a new feeling, like a new deeper feeling with players. I am actually currently replaying Final Fantasy VII. I don't know how or why I'm adding it to my bucket of games to play right now, but it's honestly like going back and playing through it. It's kind of wild to see how much they expanded that initial portion of the game in the original remake, and going through the section where you saw in the trailer of Sephiroth and Cloud, you know, in that flashback and whatnot. It's kind of insane to see how simplistic it was. I mean, it was a PS1 game, but they're expanding it greatly. IGN also noted, so you mentioned that Zack has his own episode in Rebirth. What about any other characters from Crisis Core? Is there any word where Genesis returns to the FF7 remake games? And then it was just noted, beyond what's shown in the trailer, we're unable to speak on that, obviously. You know, they're not gonna give out spoilers like if Genesis is in FF7. Like, I give IGN credit for asking that, but they're not. Yeah, Genesis is in the game. Yeah, nonetheless, in the trailer today, we saw a glimpse of Vincent popping out and saying, hello, will he be playable in this game, or is he just a companion? They pretty much note he's just like Red 13 in the FF7 remake. Red 13 made an appearance in the FF7 remake towards the end of the game, but he wasn't actually a main party member. I imagine that's something that they can save for part 3, or they can even do an intermission style DLC for the game if they do want to do a Vincent episode, because Vincent has quite the backstory that I hope they do explore in the remake. It should also be noted that Zack episode, that should be a part of the main game. I saw a lot of rhetoric on social media of people being like, is this like intermission? Is this going to be like the Yuffie thing? No, that's going to be a part of the Rebirth experience, so the entirety of the game, that'll be a significant chunk of the game where you are playing as Zack, but obviously we don't have many more details on top of that. They go over some Chocobo questions, Chocobo racing, everything like that. And I do also want to note, they asked why the game is called Rebirth. So for this, with the last title, Remake, we were just thinking of this concept of recreating or reimagining, and so Remake was the title that we chose. And sort of in line with this, Rebirth was thought of as the next iteration that also kind of encapsulates this sentiment of reimagining or recreating. I'm really curious what Part 3 is called. There's a lot of re-titles you can call the game. But yeah, we'll see about that. And finally, the last question they asked, should we expect to see Whispers of Fate again throughout Rebirth? So as you know, with the remake as well, Whispers are these beings that arrive at these pivotal moments within the story, and you know, we aren't quite announcing whether they'll be gracing their presence with Rebirth as well. So this is something we'd like for users to stay tuned to. To me, that sounds like they're gonna be in the game, so like, I feel like, you know, you don't answer a question like that only for it to not be in the game, but we'll see how it turns out. Man, I am so excited for this game. I really wish we had a multi-platform release right out the gate so everybody could play it, but Sony gonna be Sony and do their 3-month exclusivity. Also, do remember, 2 discs, 150 gigabytes for this game. Holy hell, remember the PS5 disc, I believe, can store up to 100 gigabytes, so I imagine one of those discs is gonna be a data disc where you install the data onto your NVMe. And then the other disc is the play disc. Would be kind of cool if we had 2 discs and give us a little bit of a throwback, and you know, you get to a certain part of the game and then you insert disc 2, just to, you know, really give it that PS1 vibe. And I was also thinking, you know, for the part 3, that should be 3 discs. I mean, if you want to do it that way, if you really want to, you know, nostalgia bait a little bit, I feel like part 3 should be 3 discs. And also, it would be really ideal if they could get part 3 out in 2027. I know that a 3-year turnaround for these games is pretty quick, but this is a 4-year turnaround, and that's pretty quick as well. If they could do 3 years, that would line up perfectly with the 30th anniversary of the original. I believe the 30th anniversary of the original, so that would just be perfect. But for now, we can look forward to Rebirth. Incredibly excited about it. I feel like this is where FF7 really gets going, and Remake was really kind of the introduction, but excited for the changes. What I've always said, guys, you know the narrative is gonna be wild, and either it's gonna be an absolute train wreck that we can laugh at, or it's gonna be well executed, and that'll be great too. Either way, we're gonna win. The original game will exist as it is, and we have this remake to dive into as well, this remake trilogy with Rebirth and the eventual 3rd game. But super stoked for this. Cannot wait for the release. February 29th, we'll see the release of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth exclusively on PlayStation 5 initially, but imagine the PC release and hopefully an Xbox release as well would happen shortly thereafter. Maybe even a Super Switch release. You never know. But that'll do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.